Hello, I'm going to talk to you today about power chords and how they can be effective in your guitar playing. There are many different variations of power chords, but I'm going to show you the 5 that I think are the most useful and that I like to use the most, and maybe it'll give you a little inspiration for your own riff writing. Some of the terminology I'll be using, such as intervals and things of that nature, are covered in depth in my course Guitar Super System, which is linked down below. If you don't care about music theory and you just want some licks and riffs and tricks, then check out Modern Rock Guitar Techniques, also linked down below. Let's get to the power chords, shall we? The first one we're going to go over is a very simple root fifth. This is the basic power chord. For the purposes of this lesson, we'll use E as our root. The fifth of E, of course, is B. Play them together, and you have a power chord. For some reason, I have to hit a power chord with power. Maybe that's why it's called what it is. So, with a power chord like this, you have many options. You'll recognize power chords in anything from classic rock, maybe some sort of thrash metal, and pretty much anything in between. Now, I am going to include an optional extra note here. So an original power chord is just 2 notes, root, fifth. But you can also include an octave on top, so it would be root, fifth, octave. And that just adds a little bit of extra juiciness. Now this can be really useful when you just want to add a little bit of depth to whatever it is you're playing. So say you just have a typical power chord here and you want to add that octave. You can hear that. Now I'm going to play an example with some drums and bass and use both typical power chords, root and fifth, and that extended octave type power chord. Now moving along to the next type of power chord. A lot of different names for this one. I'll call it a stacked fifth power chord because we have not 1, but 2 fifths in this chord. So sticking with E as our root, we have our fifth, but we're going to take the lower octave of that fifth and include it as well to yield. And I particularly like to implement this chord shape with the root on the A string, so that way you get that stacked fifth and the thickest E string, and it just adds a lot of depth and resonance to the chord. So this would be a typical power chord, just a B power chord, but then you add the fifth. So you can hear how much heavier, how much fatter that is. And then again, just like with the previous chord shape, you can add an octave. So the B octave, we would have the stacked fifth as well to yield. So from this to this, pretty awesome. And you'll recognize this from bands like Incubus, or maybe 311. The list goes on. Let's see what we can do with a stacked fifth power chord. As we move forward, I'll introduce you to the AddNine power chord. I've also heard this called a stacked fifth because it's like you're stacking power chords, but that's not technically correct. It's really a power chord, and then instead of this octave, we're pushing that up to a 9. So that would be the interval there. Again, if you're not sure about intervals, never heard those numbers before, then check out Guitar Super System, link down below. So we have root, 5th, 9. And this shape works really well, again, on the A, D, and G strings, or the E, A, and D strings. As you can hear, it's sort of like a majestic sort of sound. It reminds me of prog rock a little bit, or Dream Theater really comes to mind with this type of thing. You can add on other stuff like a major third or a minor third, but we're gonna stick to power chords, an AddNine power chord. Excuse me. Let's see what we can do with an AddNine power chord. Now moving forward here, we have a sort of Hendrixy or Stevie Ray Vaughan type power chord. I'll just call it the Hendrix power chord because it is really conducive for the Hendrixy kind of piano-like guitar playing. So this is a 3-note chord with root, 5th, and an octave, but there is a string skipped in this chord shape. So if our root is on E, on the A string, we'll have our 5th on the G string, 4th fret, and then our octave on the B string, 5th fret. And it yields this sort of shape. And when I mentioned the Hendrixy stuff, so with your power chord ringing, you can do the nice little flourishes. Again, it's very simple, a power chord is, but when added together with other nice little notes here and there, it can be really expressive in this style. All right, bringing it on home to the final power chord I'm going to show you today. This is, well, I'll call it the Eric Johnson power chord. Another open power chord, just like that Hendrix power chord. And by open, I mean it is extending beyond an octave. So we have our root on the A string, and we're going to use E like we have been doing, that 7th fret. And then we create a power chord on the B and E strings. And this is an original power chord, the original shape. So just that little box. So the formula ends up being root, root, 5th. And you kind of want to have your middle finger draped over the D and G strings so those don't ring out, and you just get one nice strum like this. You can move this all over. And why I call this the Eric Johnson chord is because he uses open chord shapes like this all the time. You may recognize it from something like this. So that is literally in Cliffs of Dover. And he has it in the key of G, so he actually has that G string ringing, which makes for a really nice texture. So let's see what we can do with the open Eric Johnson power chord. Well, there you have it, guys. 5 power chords that I think are extremely useful in a lot of different musical situations. I hope this was a helpful lesson for you. Make sure you leave your favorite kind of power chord below. I know I didn't cover technically all the power chords. There are drop tuning power chords and other sorts of extensions, but I think these are really the 5 most useful iterations of power chords. Remember to check out Guitar Super System if you're interested in any of the theory that I like to get into from time to time, and check out Modern Rock Guitar Techniques. Both courses are linked down below. And until next time, keep shredding and using power chords.